One of these cars is not like the other, and can you tell why? They're both Volkswagens, they're both the iconic Golf, but this one, of course, is the e-Golf, the all-electric Golf, and this one has an internal combustion engine. So, is this the past and this the future? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to mash them up. So, under the hood, of course, of the traditional Golf is a 1.8 liter direct injected turbocharged 4-cylinder that puts out 170 horsepower and 199 pound-foot of torque, and it powers the front wheels through a 6-speed automatic or a manual transmission. Yeah, you know what that sound is? That's the sound of the old internal combustion engine coming to life. And for 100 years, it's been the sound of, well, the car. And unfortunately, that sound is going into the distant past with electric cars. But that's okay. Change is good, right? I got the Monroney for the 2017, and this is the new Wolfsburg edition Golf. And this one cost $23,515. And since it's the automatic, it gets 25 in the city, 35 on the highway, and 29 combined. The Wolfsburg edition gives you a little bit more tech and a little bit more pizzazz for your money, and it's new for 2017. So let's take it for a ride. Unlike some of the more expensive variants of the Golf, this does not have the dual clutch DSG automatic. It just has the good old standard automatic, which is fine. It served us well for a long time. And of course, this has all of the exact same components and chassis that the e-Golf has. So the difference really is only the drivetrain and of course how you fill it up at the end of the day. So let's take it for a little bit of a ride and see how this vehicle is different when compared to the e-Golf. Obviously, first and foremost, there's a lot more engine noise, but I like that. Oh yeah, 170 horsepower, 199 pound-foot of torque. Yeah, that does sound good. It does set my heart aflutter, and it's what we've gotten used to, at least if you're my age, for the sound and the feel of a car as it accelerates. Now, dynamically, the e-Golf does have some advantages. First and foremost, it's got a lower center of gravity because the batteries lower the center of gravity. It's a lot of weight, but they're down low, which means that it's a little bit better in the twisties. Of course, this car is no slouch in itself in the twisties. This current generation, the 7th generation of the Golf, is perhaps one of the best cars in this category. It really does shine, both as a commuter, as a canyon carver, and as a car that is both utilitarian and fun to drive. That's not an easy thing to combine, and Volkswagen has managed to do that. Everything in this cabin is very straightforward, dare I say maybe a little too stark, but it all works. It's all driver centric. It all comes to hand easily. The steering wheel is a little artificial, but that's because electric steering now is heralding the way to the electric car. So to get better fuel economy, all the manufacturers have gone to electric steering. Yeah, it's a good little car. It's kind of a Goldilocks car. It's the right size, right? It works for people in the city. It works for guys and gals in the suburbs. It works for small families. It's easy to park. It's easy to drive. It's easy to live with. Everybody knows what it is. If you tell me you got a Golf, then I'm like, oh, never heard of that. Not one of them there weird cars. It's been around forever. And there's a sense of provenance in this car. You can tell that Volkswagen has refined and refined and refined it to the point of, well, this current generation. This one is a lot different. Under the hood we have, well, we have a lot of room, man. We have an electric engine that puts out 115 horsepower and a boatload of torque. It also gets only 83 miles of range. And that is one of the initial differences, of course. That one gets about 300 miles on a tank full. This one, 83 before you have to go charge it up. I'm in the e-Golf. Now, I've got the Monroney right here, and this particular one costs $29,815, and it gets, like I said, 116 mpg. On the highway, 105, city, 126. Now, it's got an 85 kilowatt electric motor, puts out 115 horsepower, like I said, and get this, it has a 24.2 kilowatt lithium ion battery. I wonder how long that would power your iPhone or electric phone. Well, it started. Yep, it's on. Hard to tell, but it certainly is on. And often electric cars come with niceties such as heated seats, and the reason for that is not because they're trying to toast your butt, which they are, but because it's cheaper to warm your body than to warm the entire cabin, at least in terms of electricity. With an electric car, we're always a little nervous because, well, you know, you never know when the thing's going to run out of juice and you're going to have to call AAA. Let's give her the beans. Oh, quiet, seamless, but not boundless acceleration and torque. Every time you do that, it just takes a lot of power out of the battery. So that is not a smart way to drive the car. But in terms of kind of driving dynamics and ride and handling, it's very similar to the regular Golf. The biggest difference, of course, being that it's quiet. It's about as quiet as a car can get. All you hear is wind noise and tire noise, and yeah, it does feel like I'm driving the future. Of course, I've got a speedometer and I've got a state of charge here, so it tells me how much range I have. And currently, out of the 83, I've got 70 miles of charge left, which is fine, but it's certainly not enough to replace the internal combustion engine, because this takes a long time to recharge, especially if you just plugged in at home. 12 hours into a standard home plug. If you happen to be lucky enough to have a level 2 charger, then it's 4 hours, and if you have a supercharger, then it's 30 minutes to get 80% charge, which is still a long time. You know, what are you going to do for 30 minutes while waiting for your car to get to 80% charge? So let's give it a little more juice here. Still 70 miles. I haven't actually killed it. Now, the auto manufacturers are just trying to figure out kind of what that balance of torque and longevity for the battery is. And what I mean by that is, you could dump all that power into the front wheels right away, or you could save it because you've got electric steering, you've got, you know, drive by wire basically. It's an algorithm. So some cars like the Kia Soul have opted to not give you all that torque, but give you a lot more range. This e-Golf kind of feels somewhere in the middle. It gives you enough beans, but then the power kind of slowly diminishes and at the end kind of drops off a cliff. Last year, Volkswagen sold only about 3,000 of these e-Golfs, and that's because they're only sold in the ZEV states, or in other words, the states that border the two oceans. Now, they sold a boatload more of the regular Golfs, but that's not how people buy the e-Golf. People buy the Golf, but people lease the e-Golf, and if you were to lease the car, that one's about $199 a month, and this one is about $299 a month. And the reason people lease them is, of course, because the technology keeps improving. Plus, when you lease them, all those government and state rebates are figured into the lease, so you get a better deal, plus you get a car that when it improves, you're not owning, but you're only renting long term. Yeah, torquey, efficient, fast, fuel efficient. What more could you want? Well, clean. That's one of the things that an internal combustion engine isn't. Now, that doesn't mean that the electric car is a lot more clean. It just moves the pollution down to the place where the electricity is made, but it does in general create less pollutants than when you pour gasoline and you burn it. Why do I think that the electric car will replace this eventually? Well, that's simple. The car manufacturers have kind of slowly but surely stuck their toe into the electric car pool with the ZEV states, but Volkswagen is strongly hinting that the e-Golf will soon be sold not just in 11 states, but around the entire country, and coming soon to a Chevy dealership near you and a Nissan dealership near you, and of course a Tesla dealership near you, is an affordable electric car that will get over 200 miles range. Chevy just announced the Bolt, the new electric Chevy, will get 238 miles of range, and at that point electric cars start to make sense, because you don't just need them to go to work and home, you can actually use them to go somewhat across country, especially if there's a series of charging stations. But more importantly, if you forget to charge them up overnight, you can do more than one work trip. You can stop at the cleaner on the way home from work. This regular Golf gets 37 miles per gallon on the highway, and that's really good, but that e-Golf gets 116 mpge, or the equivalent in electric units. Now that's a lot better. Is that every manufacturer, well, almost every manufacturer, has now decided that the electric car is the future. So obviously Volkswagen, being one of the earlier of the mainstream manufacturers, has gotten on board because of their diesel engine debacle, and they've doubled down, maybe even tripled down on electric cars. And you'll see the same from a lot of the German companies. Mercedes, of course, BMW with their I series of cars. These are all car manufacturers who decided that it's time to invest and build and change the future by going to electric. So you're probably asking yourself, which one would I buy if it were my money? Well, there's no doubt in my mind I'd go for the regular gasoline-powered Golf. It's iconic, it's thrifty, and it's easy to live with. When will most of us be driving electric cars? Let me flip that question around. Really, when somebody says to you, I'm going to pick you up in my car, and that car doesn't matter if it's electric or gasoline powered, that's when you know that electric cars have gone mainstream. And chances are that there is an electric car in your future. It may not be an e-Golf, but chances are it'll be e-something. Now, which one is the future? Once again, there's no doubt in my mind that it's the e-Golf. Right now, that's quickly becoming a dinosaur. 83 miles of range is, well, that's yesterday. The new generation of electric cars is going to be getting more like 200 to 250 miles on a single charge. And yes, as much as I love the smell and the sound and the roar of the gasoline engine, I think, and I know, and I fear that the electric car is the future. As always, this is Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Car. Check out tflcar.com for more news, views, and of course, Mashup, future, past, future reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.